Hey guys, how we doing? So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Multichain Infra Inside the Stack powering Bitcoin Move Rollups and AI discussion. We'd start off with some intros. So I'm Ali, I lead business development and growth at Multichain Advisors. We're a Web3 management consulting company in the Web3 space. We've helped projects like Wormhole, Pith Network, Zeus Network, Momentum. And yeah, we kind of help projects go from 0 to 1. But yes, take it away, guys.
Thanks. Hey, I'm Jay, and I'm the director of a media company called The Coos. And we've been following the Polkadot ecosystem from the launch of parachains and the very, very overhyped parachain slot auctions in 2021, through to the decentralization of the network from the foundation to the dot holders. And recently, maybe it'll be surprising adoption by enterprise and governments of the tech stack. We serve as a platform for builders and VCs and regulators. We have lawyers on, and the dot holders themselves who are managing the network and the network's treasury. That all happens on the Coos.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Broderick. I lead founder success at the Near Foundation. Near is building the blockchain for AI. What that really means is we're building a platform that is purpose-built for AI while maintaining privacy, user ownership, and security. On my team in particular, under founder success, we work with founders of all shapes and sizes, pre-idea, building out their MVP, all the way to venture ready and beyond, through different programs for technical enablement, ecosystem access, and a variety of different resources to help them build scalable on-chain products.
Thank you. My name is Greg Nazario. I'm one of the founding engineers at Aptos Labs. So I've been working at Aptos for, it feels like, 3 years now, and previously worked on both the Diem and Libra projects at Facebook. So it kind of spun out of that. We're mostly focused on building the global trading engine for the future of DeFi on Aptos and for the world. And me specifically, I work on both somewhat of a developer success from a dev role perspective, as well as I work on a lot of the development tools and things as well. And I have a lot of the background in both building the blockchain and helping people build on top of it. So it's always love to see it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle. I'm from the Stacks Asia Foundation. For those who are not aware of Stacks, we were one of the original Bitcoin layers to come about to help bring programmability and smart contracts to Bitcoin. So the idea of building on Bitcoin to transacting to Bitcoin to finding productivity around your Bitcoin. So the idea of being able to earn a Bitcoin yield off of your BTC. That's a lot of what we've done for over 5+ years now and been helping to drive a lot of this entire industry forward when it comes to the Bitcoin side of the industry. And prior to that, I ran our ecosystem fund and got a chance to see the early introduction of DeFi and artificial intelligence when it's applied to the Bitcoin network and then cross to all other networks in Web3 as well.
All right, thanks for the introductions, guys. So we'll kick this discussion off. Each of you are focused on a different vertical of multi-chain infra. Some of you covered like Bitcoin layers. Some of you are covering AI verticals, parallel chains. I just wanted to hear what your particular project helps improve in the verticals you guys are working on at the moment.
Okay, sure. So the theory that we work on is that as long as the humans are in control of the machines, we need platforms to speak to each other and organize ourselves and find consensus. So that's what we're offering. And mostly, I would summarize the story that we've been following over the past 3.5 to 4 years, which was, 2021? Basically, the silent, but I think kind of rapid death of crypto and the very immediate rise of Web3 as a contributor to real value-producing businesses. I'm talking the transition from crypto users to block space consumers who don't even know they're using this technology, but it is improving their lives. It's increasing margins. It's replacing all these nodes of trust in organizations and governments with sources of truth. which makes everything run smoother, makes the world a better place, and that's the story we cover.
Awesome. And we're really focused on building toward a future where we see AI agents really becoming the front end for many of the things that we do today. The websites that we use, the applications that we use will in many ways become obsolete in a future state where we rely on AI agents to execute for us. So less clicking on websites, less confirming transactions by yourself. We can delegate that all to AI agents. And so if that is the case where AI becomes the front end for everything that we do, blockchain really necessarily has to be the back end because that is going to allow us to have security and scalability and keeping AI human-centric. And so the way that we're tackling that across the Near ecosystem is through a couple of really innovative technologies. I highly recommend everyone playing around with and checking out Shade Agents, which we recently released. Shade Agents allow agents to be autonomous, to custody assets, to trade on your behalf, while also accessing off-chain data. We announced today a really critical component that allows speed and efficiency across these interactions. Our optimistic blocks as part of Nightshade 2.0 gives us 600 millisecond block times as well as 1.2 second finality, making us the fastest, or one of the fastest, if not the fastest, protocol in Web3. I believe it's 10x faster than Solana, 200 times faster than Ethereum L2s. So we're really building for this future state. And not only does that speed and efficient empower developers themselves, but it also will allow agents to interact on our behalf.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we're under 200 millisecond block times.
Go.
So we're mostly focused on how do we build performance and security at scale that actually provides for the future of a global trading engine. Thinking about how do we make it so you can have AI agents, DeFi, all these things building in a way that scales and fits into spaces that we normally do in a Web 2 world. So a lot of the things the features that we're thinking about are like cross-chain accounts, which we announced yesterday, which is about the ability to basically use your existing account on your MetaMask or your Phantom and sign in and control an Aptos wallet specifically from there. Additionally, things like scheduled transactions, being able to schedule something in advance or even schedule something that does it in advance so that way you don't have to necessarily sign a transaction or click anything. Make that user experience a lot better for being things like you want to be able to pay out people on a regular basis, or do you need to schedule trades or things like that where you want to do it maybe in advance of when you're doing.
So for us, we've taken a slightly different approach and focused very heavily in the Bitcoin space and on the Bitcoin L1. The original vision was to bring programmability and smart contracts to Bitcoin so that anyone who wanted to build an application and harness the stability and security of the Bitcoin L1 had the ability to do so with an additional programmability layer on top. And we saw that vision through. Over the last few years, we've seen everything from AI to NFTs to marketplaces, e-commerce, anything that we've seen in general technology and TMT industries has now been applied on stacks or within the Bitcoin space. And since we've evolved that image to now look at unlocking Bitcoin capital, because that's the next big achievement that not only is core to us, but also to all of us in this industry. You've got now about $2 trillion that many are looking at as a sleepy asset, an asset that doesn't do much other than a store of value or a hedge against inflation or digital gold, however it may have been marketed or discussed to them in the very beginning. And suddenly they want to do something with that. And so now we've evolved that programmability layer into this next layer of unlocking Bitcoin capital and being able to take your BTC that sits on the L1 and start to earn a passive income off of that in a Bitcoin denominated way. And then depending on your risk or volatility profile, take that into DeFi and earn further. Engage with Bitcoin-backed stablecoins to perps, DEXs, and this entire world that's emerging to, again, continue to grow and unlock that Bitcoin capital. Because between us and many of the other Bitcoin layers, together we've unlocked almost 1.5%+ of Bitcoin's total market cap to date in only about 6 or 7 months. And so to see that amount of Bitcoin move so aggressively has shown and proved that this infrastructure is necessary for the Bitcoin L1 and for BTC as an asset, that something is needed to push that forward and start to unlock it at scale.
Yeah, thanks for that. And yeah, we've we've definitely noticed a big focus from a lot of the L1s and protocols to capture as much of that TVL as possible, as it is, TVL is a huge indicator for, I guess, future success of a platform. But yeah, moving on, I'd like to kind of hear the focus you guys are putting on towards developer onboarding, and your approach there onto educating developers and kind of bringing them on to build on your protocols. I know, Jay, Polkadot is always topping the charts on the Electric Capital developer activity report.
True.
So yeah, would love you to kind of kick it off and tell us what you guys have been doing at Polkadot.
Well, the focus of Polkadot has been a little bit outside of what we talk about on crypto Twitter, what the VCs are looking at in that sort of small bubble. We're really looking at Polkadot as this cloud platform to deploy really big business. We're talking government scale. Polkadot architecture, by the way, real quick, is like the hub and rollup model. That's what it looks like right now. And so we have some rollups that are doing insane throughput right now. One is called Mythical Games. They have one game. It's NFL branded. It's in the App Store. It's called NFL Rivals. They have 6 million users right now who don't know they're using blockchain. That rollup alone, I think today I checked, they're third in NFT trade volume, just behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think 50% of Bitcoin and like 40% of Ethereum today. And so as far as developer experience goes, we're working one-on-one with these big deployment projects who are going to make a huge impact to bring them into the Polkadot cloud, give them a rollup that's customized to exactly their use case and exactly their needs, and make sure that their users have no idea what's happening. So we have that big game deployment. There's another project called Energy Web. They've been running a proof of authority chain with, pick a big energy producer that you can think of, and they're a validator on this in this consortium. They just recently voted to move all of their operations to a Polkadot rollup. We have the entire nation of Indonesia putting their IDs on a rollup, and also their IP, their country. They really believe that blockchain is going to elevate their nation of 136 million people, I think it is, fourth largest in the world. So rather than kind of approaching these developers and what we talk about on CT to build DeFi applications, I use these all the time, of course. I love this stuff. We're really trying to integrate Web3 into these existing businesses and make them better, make them work better.
And for us, the developer experience, we really want to make as seamless as possible so developers and founders can focus on building great products, what they do best. And so part of that is baked into the Near developer toolkit and our tool stack. For example, we use named accounts. So instead of using a complex hash, you can say like alice.near for your account. We also build chain abstraction directly into the Near tech stack, so you can be multi-chain from the start. And also from like a programs and support perspective, we recently launched our protocol rewards program, which is designed to help early stage builders flesh out their MVP and take it into a real world product. And what we do is we effectively measure their activity on chain and in GitHub, and we give them payouts of up to $10,000 a month to reward them for the exciting stuff that they build.
Well, being a developer myself, I really am focused on the developer experience. So for Aptos, we're really focused on how do we make the development experience easy for users to make sure that they're building something that's secure and performant in the way that they should. So we spend a lot of time building both the frameworks and the SDKs and the tools for people to actually be able to build on top of Aptos seamlessly, whether it be with keyless accounts, being able to use a zero knowledge proof directly to be able to create an account that doesn't necessarily have to be custodied, so you can avoid custody issues that come with legal parts with that, as well as the ability to just say like, hey, I want to sign in with Google and then be able to use the blockchain itself. Additionally, like I mentioned earlier, we just announced cross-chain accounts. So being ability to have people use their Phantom wallet or their MetaMask directly unlocks a whole number of new applications that can be integrated in as well. And then we have a ton of other different tools, like being able to do randomness easily on-chain and other things as well. So much so that some of the former Solana developers I've talked to actually told me what took them several months to build took them several weeks on Aptos. So that's a huge selling point when it comes to Move and the safety that comes with it.
Nice.
So you mentioned the Electric Capital developer report. I just want to come back to that for a second because yes, Polkadot was on it. I think Aptos was on it as well. Near we were all lucky enough to be on it. And from the Bitcoin side, we were one of the only to be listed in the top 10. So number 7, fastest growing developer ecosystem, and a lot of that work goes to the entire ecosystem at hand. Everyone from the foundation to Hero, who's a developer tools company, to multiple of the entities within the entire Stacks ecosystem, and to every company and founder building on Stacks. One of the things that we have to take into consideration is Stacks was built by developers for developers in one case because building on Bitcoin is very difficult, especially when you're non-EVM, which is the approach that we took. So we did not do a copy and paste from Ethereum. We did not use an EVM-based template to build on Stacks. We went full native. And so that gives the true Bitcoin finality that enhances security, but with that comes a different developer experience. And for us, we're lucky enough to be very hands-on in that process. So not just your traditional hackathons, which we do all around the world with EZA and other great partners, but we also host virtual and physical events called Building on Bitcoin to not just focus on Stacks, but also building on Bitcoin as a greater experience. So no matter what protocol or what part of the technical stack you may be contributing or building, we try to enhance the entire industry as a whole. It's because, again, this is very difficult to build on a network that has been around for almost 17 years now and has been the most stable and secure. So we do a lot of the traditional hackathons. We have developer programs. We have evangelists that come around to events like Multichain Day and Consensus and otherwise that are at booths, that are hosting workshops, that are physical and digital as much as possible. And then we listen. Again, I ran our ecosystem fund today called Bitcoin Frontier Fund prior to running our Asia organization. And a lot of it was not just investing as a venture fund, but also listening to builders. What's missing? What's needed? How can we be better at providing those developer toolkits to enhance that developer experience and cross-chain as well? So we work with L1s, we work with other layers to figure out what's necessary to not just bring Bitcoin across, but also to help that developer experience to integrate with their L1s, institutional custodians, wallets, and the like. Because at the end of the day, Bitcoin dominates more than 60% of this market, and it is the one asset that over 47 million people hold more than $1 of today and will continue to opt into before any other asset. So it's a collective effort that we've been fortunate to help collaborate and lead a lot of and continue to do that today.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great takes. So cross-chain interoperability is essential, and with a lot of what you guys are doing, it's kind of what you guys are doing to add value to the space. But yeah, would love to hear more on what you guys are doing internally to allow for interoperability across chains and helping kind of bridge the gap between ecosystems. So Kyle, I know that you guys are putting a big focus over there in unlocking that Bitcoin liquidity across multiple chains. So I guess we'd all like to understand what kind of metrics you look at on a particular ecosystem or a chain to kind of provide support for those other chains. And yeah, I'd also like to hear what the rest of you are doing in that space.
Yeah, so first and foremost, big shout out to all the bridges and all the developers and all the teams that have been building the technology to allow for all of us to be able to answer this question. Because without them, institutional otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation. Since we're all building layers, that's what the great founders and teams are building for us as well. So we're lucky enough to work with many of those. And as you mentioned, we have integrated and connected with a few other L1s, Solana, Aptos, Sui, we just announced last week at Token 2049. And for us, because we're not EVM compatible, maybe to break that apart for a second. For EVM, whether that's Ethereum virtual machine or Ethereum-based Bitcoin layers, there's a little bit easier transition to bring assets across. It's not perfect, but it's easier. If you are working in the SVM, the Solana virtual machine, there's a different enhancement there to connect back to Solana. MVM being moved, the same as well. Because we're native to Bitcoin, there's a few additional hurdles that we have to go through and technical developments to work directly with the L1s as well. And so we've done the best that we can thus far to make sure the technical teams are together. The teams that are building the DeFi protocols or the like are working with those protocols to ensure that we can do cross-chain interaction. But first and foremost, from a Bitcoin native chain, the big question starts off is, do you want Bitcoin? Do you want Bitcoin to float within your ecosystem? And yes, the default answer is absolutely. We would love it. But there's a true next question of what's the value? Why? Why is Bitcoin going to live within your ecosystem? What is it going to do in your ecosystem? What, at most importantly, do your users and customers want to do within your ecosystem with Bitcoin? And from there, we've, again, kind of come full circle to DeFi, earning, yields, the like. We'll just call it BTC-Fi. And so that's been the first, is identifying that. Once that metric has been checked, we then see if it's a compatible match between our two ecosystems. Do the layers get along together? Is there a future integration? Do we have shared partners? And then, yes, we go into, okay, how do we build this? Is it Move, Solana? Is it Rust? Is it something else that we have to develop for? Is there a bridge that exists? Is there not? And then lastly is, how do we, or what is that Bitcoin going to look like as it comes over? So whether it's one Bitcoin, it's 1,000, or it's 10,000, or today in our case, over 3,000 Bitcoin deposited, what is it going to do once it goes into that next network, or vice versa when it comes to stacks? And that allows for founders to then be able to make the next decision is, how do we support that cross-chain interaction? Whether we're a bridge, whether we're a DEX, whether we're cross-chain liquidity, what are we going to do and how can we best support it? So those are a few of the different metrics that we look at. So again, what is the language we're going to have to build? What is the use case for Bitcoin across? Does it fit within the stacks and whatever network's ethos? And does it work for the builders across? And then collectively, how can we bring Bitcoin between all of them?
You know, I'm a builder myself, so sometimes it's a little bit hard to remember how to do this cross-chain stuff because everyone's got their different platforms, everyone's got their different documentation, everything that comes with it. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can make guides about how you can both do things the same way as in one blockchain as the other to be able to have you that kind of cross-chain compatibility. Along with, I did mention, probably for the third time now, the cross-chain accounts was really like, I talked to a lot of different developers and a lot of different users, and they don't want to download more wallets, right? Like we all have, I have like 5 wallets in my Chrome sitting up there, and it's a bad experience for people to be able to have to download all these. So how do we make it so that you can use existing tools, existing things, without them necessarily integrating into it? Because sometimes, you know, they don't have time to do it, or you have to go through some hoops to deal with it because people don't necessarily know how to deal with things that are non-EVM that comes with it. And that's what I run into actually a lot, is that sometimes people are just like, I know Solidity, I don't want to learn anything else. And we just have to spend some time to sit down and teach them. So I actually, as one of the core developers and doing some DevRel, I spend a lot of time actually working with these cross-chain projects and like helping understand what's different, what can you build with it, how can we make it so you can interop between them, how do you handle things like layer 0 OFTs to be able to have cross-chain tokens across them, how do you handle using Wormhole, or even better, like one of the bets that we really made on was stablecoins. So we got both native USDC, native USDT, and USDE and staked USDE, specifically for the purpose of how do we have cross-chain DeFi, how do you handle yields across different platforms. You can actually use USDC actually as a very good middle layer, use CCTP across different things, as well as having the ability for existing projects that are already on EVM as well. So we also worked well with Chainlink. Chainlink is fully on us as well as Aave soon, I believe, is coming full to Aptos mainnet to be able to have both the experiences that you would have on an existing blockchain when you're working with Ethereum and bringing it to Aptos where they built something that's native to Aptos but interoperable between their existing platform.
If I could just add something that Greg noted, Jay and Michael also commented on it earlier. Users want to use applications and not know they're using blockchain. Engineers are users too, And I think engineers, we're hitting that tipping point loudly right now, that engineers are at this point where like there's just too much happening. There's too many options, too many different languages. We just need to get to a point where we don't have to think about the language. And whether it's our efforts at Stacks, Polkadots, Nears, Aptos, Solana, Sui, it doesn't matter. All of us, I think, are getting to a point, and I'll make a bold claim. I think we're probably a year out, hopefully a lot less. I'm definitely ready to eat my words on that, to getting to a point where developers won't have to do that. That there will be virtual machine environments or VMs that allow for cross-chain development and integration across. We're just probably, in my opinion, a year or less than a year out from that, but engineers are at that loud point now where there's too much. How do you pick from 7 different stablecoins, native, wrapped, or otherwise, when this industry changes on a half second? Developers are users too, and we should respect that, and I think we're all working towards that as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially with developers as users, developers these days, they mostly vibe code. So the truth is, I don't know if they'll ever figure out what they want to use or how they want to use it. You're going to go ask ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to say, go use this stablecoin on this blockchain. But I think really like the innovations in like things like Cursor, Windsurf, the ability to do like coding with AI really will get to the point where we all write great docs. We all have good systems for building on our different blockchains, whether it be, Stacks, Aptos, Near, Polkadot. But they'll just be able to go and type something into Cursor, and it'll just code them up something that'll work interoperable between each of them. So that's why we need those bridges and those systems that let you easily work between all of them. And then we can take the advantage of Polkadot systems or Near systems or Aptos systems or Stack systems, specifically across any of those platforms, and easily do without necessarily doing the work.
Michael, this is on you. You and the new AI feature, this is what we're counting on for you.
Yeah, I mean, even Microsoft said like 30% of their code is written by AI. And Cursor, I believe, is one of the fastest growing SaaS platforms of all time, with I think it's like 300 million users or something insane like that in a year. It's wild. But agree completely that people want to focus on building stuff that they're excited about. They don't want to focus on navigating complexity. And so, I mean, that is what Near tries to bake into that for the developer experience with chain abstraction, OmniBridge. You don't have to think as much about which chains you have to deploy on upfront. And building on that tech stack is why we released Near Intents, I think late last year. Near Intents is a really interesting and exciting technology that really says, like, if I intend to do something, I can interact with solvers, which could be humans or agents, to execute on what I want to be done. And I'm really excited about one project that's building with Near called Infinex, and using this tech stack with Near Intents, it's really created a DEX that feels like a centralized exchange. If you haven't tried it, check it out. It literally feels like you're using like Binance or Coinbase, but it's all decentralized. And so with the power of agents and cross-chain interoperability, we can really empower the users through these kind of experiences. So that's what the future looks like for us.
And okay, I would like to start by saying that I have a lot of respect for everybody building in this space, but I think it's time that we admit that cross-chain has been extremely treacherous. And actually, bridges are by and large not Web3. They're basically bullshit, actually, and they've caused a lot of pain. Billions and billions of dollars have been stolen because at the end of the day, bridges are glorified multisigs. They have a third party that verify the state of both chains, and it's extremely painful. And yeah, it hurts. Polkadot, they were pioneering this sharded blockchain architecture. So all rollups in the Polkadot ecosystem are under the same security umbrella, which means that they all share the same state, just a block behind. So all rollups can talk to each other, and they can share information. We have a huge DeFi stack. Congratulations to Hydration, just doubled their TVL to 200 million this week. Good job, guys. They are interacting with a rollup dedicated to liquid staked assets. And that all happens under the same security umbrella, no bridges. It's just pure cross-chain interoperability. This has hurt Polkadot a little bit because while we generate value within the ecosystem, of course, there's all kinds of liquidity outside the ecosystem. And this has recently been addressed with some new projects. One, using light clients to actually share the state of Ethereum. So now we can do cross-chain to Ethereum mainnet in just a few minutes for just a few dollars, and it's not trusting anybody. And the other one is actually harnessing, well, they will be soon, harnessing multiple Polkadot rollup slots, using that compute to actually calculate the state of Ethereum L2s. So users on, pick your Ethereum L2 rollups, whatever, I mean, are there hundreds now? They can actually bridge between each other using Polkadot as that third party. And basically, as long as Polkadot doesn't get compromised, and that would be very hard, I would like to see more people try. But as long as that doesn't happen, then users don't have to trust anybody. They don't have to lose money, and we don't have to have any more horrible wounds in this industry.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I guess this brings us to the end of the panel. But did you guys have any last remarks that you'd like to bring up before we call it?
I'll just add on to what Jay said. I think security is something we need to take more importance and more serious when it comes to this industry. We've had enough trial and error at this point. We need to really, really focus on security. It needs to be priority number 0 when you are building an application, when you are scaling an application. Doesn't matter which of our respected ecosystems you're building on, security should be the utmost importance when you are building that application. I've said this on many panels, including another multi-chain day, and I'll say it again. When it comes to the Bitcoin space, and to Jay's point, we're seeing this more and more across, but when it comes to Bitcoin, we get one shot. The moment that we lose $1 billion of Bitcoin, this game is over. And so with the institutions, with the amount of corporations that are entering all of our respective ecosystems, to every single retail user, general consumer, or builder and founder out there that are building in this space, they shouldn't have to worry about these things. And we shouldn't have to put them in those positions. So collectively, we need to continue to support the focus on security to make sure that we don't have that one issue and we don't lose what we've been all building for the last 17 years.
Yeah, it's funny you say security. I mean, like, Move was originally built as a language at Facebook to be able to be on any VM, actually. Its purpose being you write things that are secure across any platform in the same way that it wasn't necessarily just for the Move VM. That would provide maybe a lot more help when it comes to specific things like that are easily to exploit on something, say like EVM, where you end up having to double spend something, or you just drop it and you lose it. Like if you dropped $1 billion of Bitcoin, man, like no one will be happy. No one will be happy. Maybe Ethereum will go make a proposal to revert it or something. We'll see. They didn't do it for the Bybit hack, so we'll see. But it's one of those things where security is important with wormhole, bridging, whatever it may be. So I totally agree. We definitely need to focus on that as an industry as a whole.
I would just say I believe the future of multi-chain is going to be AI agent-centric rather than human-centric. It's most likely that our next billion users will actually be agents instead of humans. So anyone who is building in the space, when you're thinking about this, be sure that you're building for that resilience that we'll need to have for a future of really fast, really active, high-volume interactions between agents.
And I would just encourage everybody listening to think much, much bigger. If we thought about, let's say, the whole crypto Twitter sphere as the size of my pinky fingernail, the total addressable market is bigger than this screen. We need to, the sooner we stop the circle jerk and trying to impress each other and trying to get that last predatory VC on our side, and the sooner we start implementing these Web3 values, really implementing truth into the world, injecting it into the existing businesses and technology stacks, the sooner the world will be a better place, the sooner we'll reduce corruption and get to a better future.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thanks for your time. Greg, Michael, and Jay. It was a great discussion, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it.